Well, I think I found the best looking gaming laptop for 2024. This is the Legion 7i Gen 9, replacing the Legion 7i Slim from last year. It's available in this stunning Glacier White or the Eclipse Black, with an Intel 14th generation unlocked CPU and up to an RTX 4070 graphics card. Can this laptop be a content creator's dream by day and a gamer's paradise through the night? Keep watching to find out. So it's finally here, and I've been eagerly awaiting this model since it was announced. And this Legion 7i can be configured with either a 14th generation Core i7 or the Core i9, and these are the unlocked editions, and either an RTX 4060 or an RTX 4070. If you need a laptop with an RTX 4080 or 4090, sadly you need to look at the thicker Legion Pro 7i or the Legion 9. But being the slim model, this is a pretty compact 16-inch gaming laptop. And although only 2.24 kilograms, it feels pretty hefty, but in a good way. Now this build quality is excellent. There is no creaking when you're picking it up, the hinges feel firm, and all the materials feel premium. Now as it's white, it's not a fingerprint magnet, and from a month's use, it is not discoloured or marked at all. And this year, Lenovo have changed the way they actually vent the air out of this laptop. Gone are the side vents, and now all of the air is exhausted out of the rear grille, which is now much larger. That does mean though that most of the ports are on the side of the laptop. Now on the left, we get a USB-A 3.2 Gen 1, a USB-C 3.2 Gen 2, a Thunderbolt 4 with a 140 watt PD, and a headset jack. Then as we look to the right, we get a USB-A 3.2, an eShutter for the webcam, a USB-C 3.2 Gen 2, and a full-size card reader. So that means at the rear we only get the DC in and the HDMI 2.1 port. Now both of these ports at the back do still have the rear lit symbols, make it very handy to locate in a dark environment. Opening the hinge is possible with one hand, if you even care about that, thanks to the large lip at the front, but it travels all the way back 180 degrees. And opening the laptop, we can see the beautiful perky RGB keyboard that has 6 presets which can be adjusted in Vantage, plus 3 levels of backlight brightness. The keys themselves feel crisp and responsive, making it a great laptop for all-day typing. Below, we have a good-sized glass trackpad, which although it performs brilliantly, had a slight rattle, which did spoil the premium feeling of this laptop a little. And yes, this may be a little bit picky, but when you're spending this much money on a laptop, everything should feel premium. Above the keyboard, we get a lit power button and fingerprint reader. This does log you in efficiently, but I much prefer facial recognition. And the button, it lights up showing you which profile that you're in. Blue is the quiet mode, white is balanced, and red is the performance mode. They all respond very differently, and we will discuss that in detail in the performance section later on in the review. As you can see, there are no speaker grills on the top of this laptop, but we do have two 2-watt Harman speaker systems, and it sounds like this. Speaker test of the 2024 Legion 7i at 50% volume. Now 80% volume. And finally at 100%. So there we go, the speakers are very quiet, very thin, no bass, really very average gaming laptop speakers. Moving up to the screen, and this year we get two options. The 240Hz, 500 nit, 600p screens that we covered on the Legions last year, and this new 3200 by 2000 430 nit 165Hz panel that I've actually got here. Now the standard 240Hz screen is a great panel, especially for gaming, but as Lenovo seems to be aiming this laptop more at content creators as well as gamers, this new panel is fantastic. Everything looks super sharp and the colours really pop. And I don't even notice the fact that it's not quite as bright as the 240Hz model. Now if you plan to buy this laptop for more than just gaming, I do recommend you treat yourself and get this panel, which is only a £10 upcharge. Now above the panel we have a 1080p webcam which looks like this. And this is a test of the webcam and the microphones on the new 2024 Lenovo Legion 7i. So now we've looked around the laptop, let's crack it open. And this has been by far the easiest Legion I've ever opened. Just removed the 8 screws and I pulled the actual base plate straight off with a suction cup. I was expecting to be wrestling with the little clips for ages. And once inside, we can see a large 99 watt hour battery taking up the whole front section with just the 2 watt downward fired speakers either side. And as we move up, we can see our SSD and space for a second drive. Now you may notice there are no heat sinks on these drives, but if you look at the base plate, you can see there are thermal pads to actually pull the heat from this drive and remove it from the laptop. The Wi-Fi card is socketed, and you can configure the laptop with either a 6E or a Wi-Fi 7 card. These are the latest and greatest, so you won't need to upgrade now, but it's nice to know you can upgrade in the future. The 2 RAM slots are protected by a metal plate, and that also had more thermal pads to keep the RAM sticks cool. I received 16 gigabytes of 5600 MHz RAM, but I will be upgrading that myself very soon. Lastly, we get a typical 2 fan and heatsink setup, exhausting all that heat out of the back of the laptop. And that leads us neatly to the performance section. Starting with the CPU, our 14700HX is a 20-core, 28-thread CPU that can boost up to 5.5 GHz. But you could also select the more powerful i9 14900HX with 24 cores and 32 threads for a very reasonable £50 upcharge when you're configuring the laptop. Now, despite being a slim model, performance was excellent, with solid single and multi-core scores in the shorter Geekbench 6 benchmark, and in the more stressful 10-minute Cinebench R23, we scored 23,400, which obliterates this year's Core Ultra CPUs in the Alienware X16 and M16 that we recently reviewed, showing you that for gaming laptops, 14th generation processors are definitely a better choice. Testing out the Vantage profiles for the CPU-only loads, we got a good spread from the quiet modes, scoring the same as a Core Ultra at only 31 decibels, up to the performance mode, spinning the fans right up to 52 decibels, so it does get quite noisy to get the maximum performance out of this laptop. Moving over to the GPU side, and we chose the highest RTX 4070 model, which includes Advanced Optimus and G-Sync for the inbuilt panel. And Lenovo has allowed this RTX 4070 to hit up to about 150 watts in the performance profile, leading to some solid 3D scores. Now, using the Shadow the Tomb Raider benchmark to test each of the profiles, the GPU wattage varies from 115 watts on the performance to 80 watts on balance and 40 watts on quiet. But surprisingly, despite the large difference in wattage, the scores were not too far apart, showing just how efficient this RTX 4070 is. Now, firing up the finals to actually game on this laptop, and I was surprised at just how well the 4070 performed at the laptop's native 3200 by 2000 resolution. But we did see some pretty high temperatures in the performance mode, as the finals is quite CPU heavy. Fan noise ranges from an ear-splitting 53 decibels in the performance profile to a much more pleasant silence and balance mode, all easily controlled by a quick function cue to change the profiles. Plus, I love seeing what mode I'm in just by looking at the colour of the power button. The external temperatures of the keyboard remain pretty cool over the WASD keys and only warmed up slightly over the centre of the keyboard. Now, the palm rest was cool for the first couple of hours of gameplay, but I did notice after about 2 hours of Battlefield 2042, the palm rest had started to warm up a little. Battlefield also played well at its native 3200 by 2000 resolution, though I did have to drop some settings, showing the limitations of this RTX 4070. But even at medium settings, the game looked stunning on this screen, forcing me to put off writing this review so I could squeeze in just one more round. Cyberpunk also struggled, even with ray tracing on low. Unfortunately though, you can use frame generation or DLSS to bring the frame rate up on demanding games. Obviously, simpler games and esports titles like Dota 2 are a breeze, even at its native resolutions and max settings. And our gaming section wouldn't be complete without firing up a racing game, so we tested out Forza 5 with its inbuilt benchmark at the native resolution and the extreme preset, and the Legion did not disappoint. So overall, the gaming has been rock solid on this unit, and despite being the slim model, there were no excess temperatures, heat, or throttling. And before we move on to the battery section, I do just want to gush over the actual Vantage software, as I genuinely enjoy this application, especially after using Razer Synapse or the Anywhere Command Center. The Vantage software is lightweight, fast, and very intuitive. You can change the profiles within the software, as well as set a custom profile with a decent amount of configurations if you're not happy with the 3 that Lenovo provide. Now sadly, you can no longer undervolt within the Vantage software, but undervolting still works fine within throttle stop if you want to squeeze every drop of performance from this laptop. Now you can easily configure the RGB keyboard and save to one of the 6 profiles, Plus you can update the drivers, overclock the GPU, and set the screen to drop to 60 Hz when switching to battery, all in this Vantage software. It also shows you the battery health and the battery temperature, which is a really nice feature. And whilst we're talking about battery, the 99.9 watt-hour battery is the largest battery size you can put in a laptop, and using our usual battery test of streaming YouTube over Wi-Fi at 200 nits of brightness, we sadly only managed 5 hours and 20 minutes, which was a bit lower than we were expecting. But the good news is the performance on battery is excellent, and the laptop also uses 140 watt PD, though in my testing I only managed to get 100 watts from my third-party USB-C charger. CPU and GPU performance was also pretty strong, even at 100 watts, and although you won't get the laptop's full performance through power delivery, you can certainly manage a day's work and a bit of light gaming. The power adapter that ships with this unit is a 230 watt chunky adapter, and in this day of GAN chargers, it would have been nice to see a more compact charger provided. So then, on to the conclusion. And I want to start by praising this laptop's look. I absolutely love the look of this laptop. I think white laptops are so clean, and Lenovo has done an amazing job here. The laptop also looks at home on your coffee table, the office, as it does as part of your gaming setup. Now there is an RGB keyboard, but that can be easily set to a one-colour zone for a more professional environment. The performance is also excellent, as long as you're happy with it maxing out with a 4070. And if you're buying this for development, 3D design, video editing, or gaming on the side, this could be the perfect tool. It also has great upgradability, and we will post a follow-up video very soon when we upgrade our model. Well, I'd say the only nitpicks have been the battery life and this slightly rattly touchpad, and I am really nitpicking here. So then at £1,800 in this configuration, is it worth the price? And I can honestly say, definitely. Comparing this laptop to something like an XPS 16 or a MacBook Pro, which cost well over £2,000, you're getting a more capable laptop with an amazing screen still, great port selection, and the only thing it's really lacking is battery life. So those are my thoughts on this Legion 7i Gen 9. As always, I'd love to know what you guys think. Pop it in the comment section down below and I will get back to you. And lastly, thanks for watching.